Spurs fans, wherever you may be, it's not been a happy Sunday, has it? It's not been a happy Sunday at all. This isn't an official podcast. This is just a really disgruntled fan that's jumping on live because we've got the international break next. I'm not around for a couple of podcasts as I'm away. I'm turning the grand old age of 40, so I'm away from the podcast space. So I just wanted to come on and I wanted to see what you lot thought. I wanted to hear what you lot thought. I wanted to get the mood because I've been talking to people, Spurs fans. The podcast lads will be on across the week. Everyone's obviously been at the game or got family commitments, but we're all fucked off about it. Kai David Atkin was awful today. Wasted time and money today, as he says there. Hello, James Smith, Lisner, David Ross, Cav Skull, wherever you're watching on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. We can't polish this turd. It was a bad game. It was a game that now, I mean, I haven't seen the final whistle, but when I saw what I saw with Chelsea and Arsenal, it was 1-1. Nottingham Forest lost. Everything was set up for us to win this game at home to a team that hasn't won and then go third in the league, go into the international break, third in the league with Man City up next. Um, and instead, we're 10th. Says a lot about the league. Says a lot about the league, but at the same time, it says a lot about us that we go 2 goals down. We're always going goals down, but this time 2 goals down, 2-0 at half time. Get one back midway through the second half, and we just can't break a team down. They were organised. They wasted time where they had to. They did a professional job on us against a team that, you know, for all its faults and purposes, I know that there's camps that like what we are, that don't really like what we are, what our manager asks of us. But if I'm being honest, we are what we are, and we should have enough to beat Ipswich, and we don't. And there's a lot of things that you can look at and that you can discuss and think about. Why didn't this happen? Why are these inconsistent set of results coming? Basically, our middle of the league played 11, won 5, lost 5, and drawn 1. It says mediocrity in every way. And how can you package that up? You can blame the manager. You can talk about the fact that he plays us open and therefore it leaves us exposed. But we knew that when we got him. We knew that when we got him, kids. We knew that when we got him that this manager was going to play this way. And unless you go out and buy the best players for that position in every position, you're going to come unstuck. You're going to have to outscore the other team. And we've known that and we've said that all the way through. And that's not going to change. So if it's all about Ange out now, listen, I'm not here to criticize anyone who thinks that. It's not my way. I understand that there's arguments and opinions, and I think that's what's great about football. But at the end of the day, this is the marker that he set. As a club, we've had how many managers in the last 5, 6 years? If you count the secretaries or the caretakers, we've had more than the years that we've had them. So 7 in 6 years, right? That's not good enough. How is that? How is any style meant to be implemented into a club if you continuously change managers? We went down the route of trying to get the most successful, who played boring dog shit football that 60,000 people do not want to see, right? And that people were obviously leaving empty seats for. We left that and we got in a guy that plays the Tottenham way, and he's come in and he's playing it. And all right, it might be naive, but he's playing it. He's set a style. And in many ways, we're looking at games like Aston Villa last week, where we're all singing the praise of Ange and the way it's coming out. We even go to somewhere like Galatasaray, which we all called a free hit in the Europa League, and quite liking the fact that we went out there and we took chances. And although our backs were against the wall a lot of the game, we still went out there. We looked like the team most likely to score with 10 men in the last 10 minutes of that game. So he's implementing a style. He's implementing a style that a lot of times requires optimum performances from the best 11 he has. That best 11 has to include Mickey van der Ven, right? He hasn't got him at the moment, right? And therefore it changes the whole complexity of our defence. And therefore what's he meant to do? All of a sudden, shut up shop, change system, change style, and see if it will just work for the lads? Because that takes a lot of work. That you don't just turn up on a football match and all of a sudden get it right, change your style, and go deep and do something different. He's setting a mode of football, a style of football that we as fans want. Now, I'm not against anyone who has a problem with the manager. Again, as I said, that's fair debate. But my point on it all is that this man is bringing in this style, and there's going to be bumps in the road. I personally thought what we're seeing this season was how last season would have been, that we would have won as many as we lost, and that the way that we would learn about this is to really be as sharp and clinical as possible as his plans and as his style got more and more indoctrinated into the team. At the moment, it's not really working, and we're losing games and losing goals at times when we shouldn't. But for me, you stick with him. You stick with him, and you see what happens. Because I look at this game was a carbon copy as I saw under Antonio Conte when we lost to Southampton and Wolves in the same week, both at home. It's the same as I saw under Nuno losing in against Wolves. I said the same. I saw losing Jose Mourinho's games against I think Wolves again. I've seen this with every manager, Pochettino, Conte. I've seen it, all of them before them lot. I've seen it. We've all seen it, Yids. We've all seen it. So I look at this and I go like, what's the common denominator? Where is this? Where is this? Why is there a pattern for all these managers, whether they play 10 up top, 10 at the back, long ball, defensive counter attack, rushing through, trying to overcommit, high lines, low lines? Why is it always happening? Why is it always happening? And I think we all know the answer. We all know the answer. For me, the answer is clear. That the simple fact of the matter is, we we buy players that are of the equivalent of where we finish in the league, in my eyes. With that we buy players that are of the equivalent of where we finish in the league. Therefore, we buy players that are top six players. They're not title winning players. How many world class players we got? We probably got Van der Ven, Kulu. Sonny's not a world class player anymore. He was at one point. He's not now, right? So I look at this and I go, right. Yeah, I like Johnson. I think he could be a great player. Yeah, I really like what he's all about. I like what these players put in. Romero's not world class. I don't care if he's won a World Cup. He ain't world class. Um, and I look around the squad and I go, for me, yeah, like what the board has put out is what we're getting back. And whether that's the naivety of Ange then that tries to get this team playing the way with his type of players and it ain't working because they're not strong enough, I don't know. But at the end of the day, he's implemented something that we've all wanted, but what we're not getting is the perfect players to play this. And so far, for me, these these this is what we're gonna get. Brendan Bin said it. The answer is Daniel Levy. What came out this week is what came out this week, an article from Hugo Lloris that basically said he got a watch that said Champions League finalist, celebrating coming second, right? Celebrating that you don't have to win to be successful. Basically, Tottenham had won by being in the Champions League final because the matter of difference between winning the cup and coming runners up isn't that crazy much on a bank balance. The fact we got all the way there, the revenue, the big money for the final that goes through TV, we'd already won. We'd hit the jackpot, right? And that says a lot. So for me, until we put up the real big money price tags on buying players, but mainly, and we said it week in week out on our podcast, until we start giving these players, these title winning players, money, until we attract players of title winning status and pay them their wages, we are going to get players that we've got that work hard, that have got great stuff about them, but aren't the creme de la creme, and we're going to get these results. And we're going to come from fourth to fifth to seventh to sixth to fourth to fifth. Might go on a cup run. Like we've won 3 cups in 33 years. 3 cups in 33 years. And as much as it frustrates us, frustrates all of us, We've only won 3 cups in 33 years. So as much as this is inconsistent today, what are we? What's the measuring stick that we're holding against? We can't really complain because we well we can complain, but we can't complain in the sense of as if this is any worse than it was. In the last sort of 30 years, we had a really fantastic purple patch of 4 years under Poch. 4 years is being kind about it, probably 3 years, and that was great, and that sets expectation high. But look at where those players are. They've either gone, retired, gone on to other clubs. We didn't bolster them when we needed to buy someone that was as good as Kane, although that's very hard to do. We went and got Vincent Janssens. When we needed to get wingers or people down the wings that could run as quick as our fullbacks or even as wingers that we'd have in the past, we went and got Clinton NGs and things like that. If I'm being honest, like this is the horrible card that we've been dealt, and there's nothing we can do in the sense of being able to lock a manager to think that it's his fault. I don't think I think you put in Nuno, I think you put in Conte, I think you put in Jose, I think you put in Poch. And if it wasn't against Ipswich, it would have been against another team like Palace, like Brighton, like Wolves, like Southampton, where they'd nick a win off us, and that's what happens. The frustrating part at the moment, and it is frustrating, is that there's an inconsistency. We know that there's a good team in there, a good team that could, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, exceed expectations. But I don't like. I'll be honest. Like start of the season on the pod with the guys, I said top six. I stand by that. I still think we're good enough to be in it. We've got to be more consistent to stay there. But I look at how we play against teams, and when we're in form, we're really in form. But do I see us any further than that? Do I see us top four? If other people would have to really drop and make mistakes to leave fourth place open for us to get it because I just don't see that. But again, that's not. I don't think that's any different because Andy's there to how Conte would deal with it, to how Poch would deal with it. I think we've got a good set of players, but that will give us their all. But yeah, there's a limit. There's a limit, and I'm frustrated, like everybody. I'm really frustrated about it. But at the end of the day, we are playing to a limit, and and yeah, that's what we have to deal with. I mean, there's so many of you chatting. Kai says a Sunday league game would have been like that once the penalty was given. That's it. CEB illustration, good friend Keith. The game was only killed off because we didn't react. Luke Parker, it's not Angie's fault. It's just typical Tottenham. Keith also said, I'd rather see Lloris worrying about why they didn't regroup after an early setback and go for it than seeing the symbolism in an inscription of a sponsored gift. I get that, Keith, but at the same point, I think we know what that there's auras and there's attitudes around the club, and sadly we've had this horrible Spursy tag on our name for a long time, and it doesn't help when you're rewarding through taking part. Who wants that medal? Who wants that watch? I want a winner's watch. I want the winner's watch after I've won it. That's a grander scheme of things, but what I do think it shows is that how this club perceives success, and it is on zeros and pounds on a budget sheet, and we know that. We know that's why at times an NFL billing gets bigger billboards outside the ground than the next Tottenham home game. Why Beyonce concerts make more of a shout than a big Spurs game. Like we know what it's about. I think I've been talking to the lads as well about the atmosphere in the ground. Matty was there today. He said himself included, and I'm sure he'll go on to this when he talks on the podcast, but himself included, um, probably went in there a bit too arrogant, as if we just expected things to happen and we'll react to them as they happen, taking it different, like how we probably would against, let's say, Man City a couple of weeks ago in the cup, where the atmosphere from the get go had to be strong and willed the players on. Like at the end of the day, we've got this stadium. It's 60,000. It's 30,000 more than there used to be 6 years ago in that old ground, right? Where it would have probably been, a more regular, more local, a more diehard, a more long-term fan base. That's not where football is, and that's not where football stadiums are now. Basically, this is an entertainment complex where people take their families and people, and that extra 30,000 are families, are people that come in from out of town. The same way I've done it, I've gone to Barcelona and gone to the new camp to watch a game because I want to be at the new camp for a Barcelona game. Same way I've done it for a Dortmund game and a Valencia game. We a lot of us have been there, right? So we've become that because we're in the heart of London. It's a world class stadium, and there's tickets available. There's tickets available. So at the end of the day, you are going to have a feeling of atmosphere diluted because a lot of people are there for the day out and it's all new to them. They don't know the songs, they don't know what it's all about. We've wanted that, not us, but we as a club wanted that. And we were told that we need that in order to sustain and carry on competing at the level that we're apparently competing at. Um, so, betting the devil, we got to look at it and go, right, would we rather stay in White Hart Lane with 36,000 and look to do as good as we could? Some may say yeah, but for me, when you look at it and we talk about the atmosphere and things like that, it's going to happen. It's a massive stadium with a lot of people that don't go there probably more than 2 or 3 times. I'm a fan that probably goes 5 times a year. I don't know who I'm sitting next to each time. I'm buying my tickets off different people or being kindly awarded it or given it when someone can't turn up, right? And I'm seeing different people. I'm not seeing. I'm being honest. I don't see people going crazy singing going nuts. There's pockets. There's pockets. We've got to create a fortress out of that. I'm putting this on the fans now. And if that makes me an enemy of some people, I'm putting it on you fans that go every time. All you fans that go every time, make it a fortress. Make it a fortress. Now, singing and chanting may not be your thing, but then we can't complain if it ain't happening. But we got to make this a fortress because I'll happily go in there and sing my heart up and all that. I'm more worried now that I'm offending the people that take their kids and the old fella who just wants to sit there and and moan that it ain't Cliff Jones. You know what I mean? Like that's the truth in it. But the real truth is there in that if there's 60,000 people, half of that are probably people that buy on ticket exchange for people giving up their tickets, right? So if I'm selling my ticket on ticket exchange, I'm probably going to have people from overseas or in town for the day that will just take it as a day out that are going to buy my ticket. So it might line my wallet, but it's not going to line the stadium with the acoustics because no one's singing. They ain't got a clue. They don't know what's happening. So we need to make it a fortress. What I'm saying is these people, us people, the diehards, whatever it is, the regulars, it is that make it a fortress. Start singing. Take your TiVos. Take your flags. What are we going to do to make a change? Because what I feel a lot of times is if it ain't working well in the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm hearing groans. I'm seeing people go to the bar. Fuck this. I ain't going. Well, don't go then. Don't go. Like, don't moan. Like, at the end of the day, we won 3 cups in 33 years. Let's put everything into perspective. As much as this may sound annoying, let's put things into perspective a little bit. Because at the end of the day, for me, we've got to get behind this team. We've got to create that atmosphere. Ipswich are laughing. All their fans will be going, look, they're all arguing at one another. These fans, they're moaning at the players. Let's take advantage of it. What they do, they go 2-0 up. Second half comes out. It's edgy, it's antsy, we're on top of them. Like, it's not helping. I totally understand all of you people that buy your season tickets and everything like that. I ain't got a season ticket, so you could tell me to fuck off, and that at the end of the day, I don't know what it's like. Fair enough, you can do that till you're blue in the face. I've done this podcast for 140 episodes, and I'd like to think I know a little bit. So I would say back to you, and I've got enough times to know. I would say, listen, at the end of the day, success is all about bringing each other up, making each other feel like we can do this, and giving that encouragement to a team because they are going to need it. Because it goes back through all what I'm saying. At the end of the day, we don't buy the best players. We've got a manager that's brought in a style that can be naive, but at the same time is a style that we want to play, and therefore we want it to get positive results. And if you have that positivity in yourself and you give that out to the players on the pitch, or they feel that positive energy, it's going to make a difference, right? What did Brennan Johnson do when he was getting the toxic energy? He came off social media, scored 6 goals. Everyone gave him love, and he felt like 10 foot tall. Like there's a level of process here, and I think I've just had to come on. As I say, it's not a podcast; it's just me shooting the breeze. And there's been a load of you in chat, and it's great to hear you all. Um, but I've just got to say, like, at the end of the day, I don't think it's the manager. He's doing what we want. I think it's from above, and I think a lot of you agree. What I'm seeing in the chat, it's from above. But as fans, what can we do to try and make it better? Sometimes I don't think we make it easy. Spurs fans, I don't think we help ourselves. I think there's a level of expectation, which I'm not there to say if it's right or wrong, but there's a level of expectation where sometimes we have to put ourselves in check and just get behind the team because at the otherwise it starts to you sense it in there. And if I go what 3, 4, 5 times a season and I sense it in just those games, then yeah, like I can imagine what it's like being there every week. So you know, there's frustration. It's clear frustration. Today could have been a much more upbeat, jovial moment. We could have been third in the league, but we're not. We've got City next, never easy. But we've got to go out there. We've got to keep going. We know we've got good players. I don't think we've got the best. As I said, they're not title winning players. They're not world class all round. But we've got good enough players to get as high at the table as possible. Consistency has to come, and I think it will do. I think it will do. I just feel that at the moment we're not making things easy for ourselves. But I don't see how any manager would be doing any different. And I could be wrong. Listen, this is just my opinion. I'm not preaching or saying I'm better than anybody that's listening, that's watching. This is what football fandom's about, right? We all have our opinions, and that's why things like this podcast, AFTVs, Talk Sports of this world, Sky Sports News are as popular as they are because everybody's entitled to their opinion. My point is that I, I'm really frustrated that it's not clicking yet, but I'd be more annoyed if I felt if the signs weren't there. If the signs weren't there that we didn't have a system, a style, a good set of players that can get positive results, I'd be worried. But we do have those. We do have those. So we've got to accept these setbacks, as horrible as they are. We've got to accept these setbacks and then say, well, what can we do to help change that? Because I don't think we do enough, and that's what I'm saying. But I do think like our expectation has to be in line, sadly, with what this board have set for us because they've not done stuff. They've not done anything for that show us oh yeah they're going to go out and buy a player £100 million and give them 350 grand a week. They don't do that. They'll get you know a Solanke who I absolutely love, but they'll get that kind of player. They won't go and get the top forward that's out there around the world, but they'll get the guy that seems right. They won't get, they'll get a James Madison who, decent. I think he's finding it hard at the moment. He's not really turning it on, but he was the guy that was in a team that got relegated who needed money, and therefore we swept up and took it at a decent fee. Right? That's Tottenham, and annoying. That's what's annoying. My frustration is at the board, but I don't want us as fans to to add to that frustration for our own expectation. I'm not saying to dilute it, but I'm saying that we need to keep ourselves in check and keep the positive vibes because at times like this we're going to need it. It's only going to get harder, and then if we lose to City, it's going to be more Ange out, and then I'll be like, right, where are we going now? Where are we going now? Another year, another 18 months down. Who's coming in? How much do they need to put their mark on the team? Because you can't expect the new managers to come in and just work with, oh yeah, I'm going to play Van der Ven, I'm going to play him there, I'm playing Johnson, I'm playing Kula, I like Papsar. Like everyone's different, and that takes time. And therefore, you're seeing what's happened. You know, you're seeing what's happened with Manchester United as a team, and the constant changing of managers and how far that sets you back regardless of winning an FA Cup or what, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, they're above that. But at the end, they've not shown it because it's year after year, constantly having to restart. So thanks for being on. I mean, we've had so many people on. Scott Charles says, today I was just numb, nothingness. We are a pillow with no feathers. Luke Parker, I hate the term Spursy, but today showed why it exists. Luke Parker also said, look what happens when we need to push on. We get a Timo Werner on loan. Now, for me, that was a bit of a free hit, but I know what you mean. It's not going out to buy a winger with pace and skill and ability. It's getting someone on loan that could just do it. Luke also said there's 20,000 diehards, but 20,000 tourists. I went in the pub after the game and everyone is singing and dancing. And that is the truth. That is the truth of it. Like, but we are going to get that now. Like the stadium's too big. There isn't 60,000 diehards. There isn't 60,000 people that want to be in the bricklayers or the coach or the Bill Nick. There isn't. There isn't. And that was always going to happen, sadly, when this stadium was built. So how do we create an element or a part of that stadium that is so loud and so positive and so encouraging and so buoyant to get the team going? How do we do that? Like, it's a big question. I know it's not a question that can be answered here because it almost needs all of you dials to come together and sit in the same spaces, which isn't as easy to do. But for me, these are the elements that I'm just frustrated. So I wanted to talk from the heart today because I'm going to be gone now for probably a good couple of weeks. I know we've got the international break, and then I'm away for I think the City game, and then I think it's Fulham. I'll be back after that, and the lads will be smashing it out of the park with the podcast. As I say, we wanted to try and get something today, but with some being at the game, family commitments, and all that, it's totally understandable. So I just thought I had to come on and say this because I've been sitting here, and my wife is probably very angry with me because I had a mood, and I'm just shooting from the heart. Whether I'm making sense or not, I don't know, but I'm sure, as I've seen with all the chats here, a lot of us are thinking the same. So, look, it's not what we wanted, but it's not the end of the world. Let's take things into perspective. We want a team playing our way, and for most parts, we get that right. This Ange ball is a good style of football. It's naive, it's chaotic, but it's a good style of football, right? I feel that if you was to take away elements of it to be a bit more measured, I think it wouldn't be as prolific as it is. But that's just my take on it. I think we've got him playing the right way. I think as fans, on days like today, we need to be there more. We need to be there more because you could hear it. I was watching it on the box. You could hear it. You know what I mean? Like that sense of annoyance early on, and when things ain't going right, and then all of a sudden it builds, and we go behind and the booze, and look, you pay your money, you've got every right to, but that's not. It's not going to help you, and it's not going to help them. That's what I would say. And therefore, it goes back to the same thing. We've got a board that sees success as pounds on a budget sheet. So sadly, we do have to take everything into consideration because they're not putting out like a City, like a Man United, like a Chelsea, like an Arsenal, like a Liverpool. They're not putting out to get the rewards back in terms of a successful team in the trophy cabinet. So look, what will be, as we always say, it's enough to make your heart go. Supporting Spurs is probably the craziest roller coaster anyone could be on. But stick with it, stay positive, and look, you know, the international break may hurt, but then we've got City next, and look, we'll probably come out and beat them. That's Spurs, right? We got their number. We'll probably come out and beat them, and we'll forget this. The last thing I want to say almost is like, I wonder what people, how would you think we would have responded if we would have lost to Villa 2-1 at home and beaten Ipswich today 4-1 and ended the international break with a 4-1 win? Or in this part of it before the international break with 4-1 win. It's so easy to look at things, and I'm not saying again it's that it justifies and makes everything all right. But I'll be honest, there are times when we just got to go right. Listen, things are going to be all right, and they are. I'm telling you, there's enough quality there for it to be all right, and we'll beat City. Listen, enjoy your international breaks. The podcast will be coming with the lads. I'll see you soon. Don't ever lose the faith. Come on, you Spurs.